All right. Blair Witch Project. Initial thoughts. What a stupid fucking film. I mean, the premise is great. And I do remember this from the 90s and from the early it was like late 90s, right, when this came out. I remember there being so much talk and excitement for this film. A film that my brother would watch, my oldest brother, and I remember all the times friends said, "Oh, this is so good, it's so scary." A lot of people said they didn't like it because it was like homemade horror, but a very critically acclaimed movie. I remember growing up in a small town, hearing this amongst everybody. So I get to watch it. I watch it. How, in God's name, I cannot believe that this film gets as much praise as it does. I think the whole point was the marketing around it was based around the three kids. Like, there's missing posters. Oh, have you seen these three kids? And this is based on, their found footage of this documentary they're doing in college. And it's so boring. I get that it's got to build up for the tense moment, but the tense moments came at the very end of the movie. The very end, the last 5 minutes. And that's the payoff. The payoff is wait an hour and 25 minutes, and in the last 5 minutes, you'll get your payoff. It is a bait and switch. I feel gypped. I feel that this movie gave me nothing to be scared about. So the beginning, the Heather, the main female protagonist, knows she's headstrong. She's very willed. She knows what she's doing, and she doesn't finally admit that they're lost until a lot later than you would expect. And, she's just, the head. I feel like she's the leader. She's the one that wants to do the documentary, and then Josh and Mike, the two cronies, the cameramen, they're kind of tagging along with them. But there are no other characters in the story. You don't see the witch at all. You don't see him or her. I'm guessing it's a her, right? You hear cackling. You see rocks that are being formed. You see sticks in the shape of a man, right? The triangles with the arms and legs and the little round head. And you see the guy talks about slime. There's slime instead of his water, and there's blue jelly on him. That's what he said. There's some blue jelly on him. And then the next day he goes missing, and then you see bloodied teeth in a shirt. And those elements alone make up the scary parts of the film. And I will say there also is a lot of screaming, a lot of, again, it's the buildup. But an hour and 20 minutes of buildup for 5 minutes of payoff is just, I cannot believe people rate this highly. I mean, I guess it's the first, it was groundbreaking, the genre, freaky horror films, tense buildup, young kid angst. Legendary, or rumors or folk tales. It's like, I'm not saying it didn't have, there wasn't a story to tell. There was a story to tell, right? But it didn't have to take that long. And the found footage stuff, it just, to me, it just doesn't do it justice. To be filming during certain parts of the film, to, just the things about survival that just didn't make sense. There's a river there, or a stream, or whatever you want to call it, and they go back to the stream and go back and, we're running and we're in circles, or maybe you feel like the witch has them in a bubble, a snow globe perhaps of sorts, that they can just meander around, but they're stuck aimlessly. It's like, follow the damn. If it was as bad as they say it was, they're hungry, they're thirsty, they're tired, they're scared, they're gonna die out here. Why would you not follow the river as far as it goes downstream, right? I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. Follow the stream all the way down, considering that at the very beginning of the film, there was a stream that was crossed anyways. So you have a stream, you have a water source. Granted, it could be unclean, but you have a fire source. You're lighting cigarettes. And maybe they're like, oh, well, it was going to be a weekend trip. Well, then why in the world are you trying to find your friend whose teeth were pulled from his mouth and given to you as a sign of your friend's in danger? At that point, you go home. Why do you stay in the woods? Why do you decide to go east? And then at one point they lost the map. They were talking about the map. Oh, Heather had the map. No, you had it, Josh. And then it turns out Mike had the map. And he says that he intentionally hid it because it was causing them to go crazy, right? So to me, it feels like you need to find somebody, at least your friends, who would advocate for your safety. I get it. Oh, he's the dumb one. He's the headstrong one. He's loud. He's boisterous. He's very, he shows himself by yelling. He's a feelings guy, whatever. But when you're in the woods, I just cannot realistically think that anybody in their right mind would throw a map away. Never. Unless, oh, well, it was the witch. And that's what I'm saying. It's like you can make these guesses of who did what. If it was the witch, were they cursed or whatever? Did she put a spell on them to make them get upset at each other? Were they really lost, or did they get confused? It's like the theme, right? The theme was it really about communication? Was it more about the anger that they shared about being lost or frustrated? It's like, it doesn't really make a difference because, you know that in a situation like that, it would be high stakes, right? But you got to take, it just feels like what the characters did was so impractical, so stupid, for a lack of a better term, just very intentionally stupid, right? That they couldn't decide what to do. So they walk away from a river, throw the map away, and continue to hike. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. And then when Josh goes missing, yes, bad, not a good thing. You're already in for a penny, in for a pound. Should you go look for him? Shouldn't you go look for him? And it is a horror movie, so I guess there's a premise of, well, there's something bad going to happen. So I could say, of course, don't do that. Don't go into the woods further because you're not going to find them. It's a horror film. Do you not realize you're in a horror film? But even still, why explore this house at the ass crack of dusk, right? Or whatever, the middle of the night, and not expect to find something there? Did you see? I mean, there's nothing you could see. There wasn't something, palatable, right? You didn't see anything as a viewer. You didn't see a body. You didn't see Josh. You didn't see, blood. You didn't see, markings. You didn't see any of that. You didn't see anything at all. So your assumptions are based on what you interpret it to be. And at the very end, you see Mike in a corner, and she's screaming, Mike. And I know I love the voice. I love the acting, the screaming. But if you're screaming for somebody's help, and to me, you would say what you need help with, like saying the name Mike. And I guess maybe it's shock. Maybe, Mike, what are you doing? Mike, turn around. Mike, say my name, Mike. Let me see your face. Like something that is more descriptive than just saying Mike or screaming Mike, 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 Mike. And she kept, and I had to turn it down because the screaming was so loud. It was almost, if you really care about your survival and if you care about your friends in a high stakes situation, you need to start communicating appropriately and in high tense situations. And also, why are you separating? Why would you separate at any point at all? Granted, Josh had left on his own accord or got taken without them noticing. I don't know. But in a house where you could almost imagine something bad happening, even if you didn't realize there's the premise of this is a horror film, I get it. But to understand that who would just, after being stuck in the woods for 5 days, would you consider going to a random-ass house when you're thirsty, hungry, scared, tired, and look for your friend after a night of hearing Josh's voice and you are saying, that's not him, but this time you are? It just doesn't make it. There's nothing about this film that made any sense to me. From the characters' actions, from their actions to their thoughts, mostly to the amount of things they had on their packs, right? You didn't really see them, and I'm not saying it's a survivor horror film, right? You don't see them trying to find food. You don't see them trying to find water. You don't see them, where do I use the bathroom? Because again, you're filming and this isn't something you're going to film. I get that. But, it's part of surviving for 5 days. Did they have enough food for 5 days or 6 days or however they were lost for? I mean, they were there for a weekend as far as I remember, right? They were there for Saturday, Sunday, and right, the guy had to work. He said he'd work at 9 a.m., and I'm guessing it was a Monday. So he had to work, right? So did they plan to have that much food for the next 3 or 4 days they were gone? They were lost? I mean, that isn't addressed at all. So if your survival instincts are, I need to stay with, I need to watch, I need to find a place with water, I need to make sure we have food, right? But then to ultimately give up and just to succumb to adventuring into a house who's what's in the woods, right? With people that you don't know or a witch that you don't know, right? That had been placing things in front of you scarily with the rocks and the stick figures and also the teeth. It, to me, just feels very unintelligent and just it just did it for the thrill. And the fact that I had to waste my hour and a half watching it was dumb. I didn't like that. Again, this is a casual review. This is not, this isn't the end all be all, all best film review. But man, I as just a very common movie watcher, I didn't like it. It just wasn't good. The things they did, that wasn't smart. Again, I think a lot of this movie it did very well because back in the 90s when the internet came around and it was talked about online and it was, they had unique marketing tactics. They talked about the missing people. It almost made it feel, and as far as I remember, it did make it feel like that these people were real and that they were missing from going out into the woods. So it felt very real. And it met the target demographic, right? They're college kids, right? So high schoolers will watch the film. College kids are going to watch the film. Parents might be interested, young parents, whatever. But in the end, it's not a film I would ever recommend. And as far as it goes, I'm going to give this 1 out of 5 stars. I don't think I would maybe give it half. I don't know. I'll say 0.75 based on effort alone. And the screaming at the end, the visceral screaming, that was hard to listen to. Very, very gut-wrenching, made your stomach twist. I get it, but also I hated it in a way that she could have definitely been a little bit more, like, hello, Mike, do this, do that. Like, make it more descriptive than him just standing in a corner. And that's maybe an homage to Mr. Parr at the very beginning, where the rumor was that he would kill people and he would make one of the kids turn around in the corner. Is it speculation? Yes, it's very speculative. And to think that the audience members would be like, oh, well, maybe they were getting killed by a serial killer. But it's like in the whole span of the movie, nothing makes me want to care about these characters. I don't care about them. They're not like overwhelmingly interesting. They're not overwhelmingly smart. They're not overwhelmingly like unlucky. They just continue to do stupid things. So this film gets a 0.75 from me. I don't recommend it. I didn't like it. But hey, maybe you will. Again, it's on Peacock right now, Blair Witch Project. This is the 1999 film. And go see for yourselves. And, let us know what you think.